What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivanshi, and we are here with the season finale of It. Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 8, titled Winter Fire. It was directed by Andy Muschietti, and the cinematographer was Daniel Villar. So this whole recap review on today is definitely going to be a little bit unconventional from what I've done, but not unconventional to the channel and how I've done some things in the past. We're going to hit on some favorite points of this episode, and we're just going to talk about the season as a whole, what we want next, what's our theories, all of the things. So first, I want to open with the fact that out of all the Black people, it really was like a race of who was the most useless between Leroy and Hank at the end. Like, Hank had already been on my bad side this whole time. But then after we were getting halfway through Leroy, it was just kind of like, he was in a tough spot because you're dealing with service to your family, service to the country for which you could be legally held accountable for anything you say, can, and do. And you have to uphold not one law, but two of them. But get into like the nitty gritty of everything. When Pennywise got all of them kids and was playing his song and riding in the little wagon, and all of the kids was just floating over like the road and the ice and everything, I immediately thought of the Trail of Tears. And knowing that the thing that keeps him trapped and the power and the people who know him and who have the knowledge to either get him released or trap him for the rest of eternity are the indigenous people of the land. And so this is one of those things where I could say, I could something in my eye. It's one of those things I could be like, oh, I wonder if they meant to do this. It definitely gives 100% Trail of Tears moment with just the massacre and the displacement of peoples, and you're looking at a massacre of children and displacing them from their town with their families and everything like that, and taking them down to Pennywise's lair. Okay, my man had already ate at the cookout, and then Francis was like, sir, don't leave yet. We're playing your favorite song. And so Pennywise, hit a little bop, went back up in there and packed him a whole bunch of leftovers with these kids. So he's like, okay, cool. If I can get out, I might as well give me a couple of to-go plates so I can be good and ready in 27 years. Okay, things are going to be great. Thanks, babes. And so we're going through all of this, and the kids are like, fuck these adults. They are proving to be useless. All the ones at school seem to be dead. So we got to do what we got to do. And we finally figure out everything that's going on with the relic and Lily. And the relic is trying to get back to where it belongs. And so because it's this powerful thing, it's fighting the person that wields it. If you don't give it what it wants, then it feeds on your greatest insecurities. And we've seen this in like anime and all sorts of other stuff. So it's not like some unique trope or some unique lore. That's just a thing. It possesses a power and it wants to be complete, and you are in the way. But shout out to Lily just having real friends in Ronnie and Marge. And at this point, they're like bitch slapping her like, girl, yes, I said that, but you've grown. Look at what we've been through. Give me this goddamn relic so we can move on, girl. We ain't got no time for this. And you're looking at, again, that power of friendship that we know exists with the Losers Club when we get to the 90s versions and with It's 1 and 2. That's the 90s miniseries version as well as the remakes and the adaptations from 2017 and 2019. So we're moving, we're trucking along, but Will is caught up in these deadlights. So the family, they get Halloran. And I really love that scene between Halloran and Leroy when he is stopping Halloran from not only killing himself, but begging him to help him one more time to go get his son. Even when he's like, listen, if you do this one thing for me, I will pull the trigger myself. And it's so heartbreaking because both of these men are at the brink of sanity and what they are capable of being able to deal with mentally and emotionally. And this Black man watching this other Black man be torn apart and traumatized by this power that he doesn't understand. And you have to ask him to take a leap with you one more time, walk through destruction and potential annihilation with me one more time. That was so tough to watch. Not necessarily where I was just gonna like, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? But it's just tough because it's like you down bad and they down bad, but we need to be down bad together so we could potentially come up or fall. And Halloran has already been through so much, and you're just asking somebody who's been through the worst to go through worser. And you could just tell that it was a really tough ask for Leroy. But we get the gang together. Charlotte is rightfully beating Leroy's ass because you got my son caught up in this. You said that we would be safe. And again, love Taylor Page's portrayal of Charlotte. Just love the natural reactions that she has as a wife in distress. It's not just the weeping and the withdrawing and, you know, she's walking away from him and going to someone else and giving him the cold shoulder. No, I'm looking you, my husband, in the face, and I'm taking my anger and my frustration out on you because you were supposed to keep us safe. And now the one thing that is more important than you to me, and more important than myself to me, has been taken by this monster. And this type of acting choice, I don't know if it was written on the page. Probably. I think a lot of writers have been either writing it on the page for women or giving women the room to make their own artistic choices of what they would actually do in real life. And this scene reminds me of Anya Taylor-Joy's scene in The Menu, where she's finding out that, oh my God, what is Nicholas Holt's character name? I forget his character name. Anyways, he tricked her into coming to this place. And the chef, played by Ray Fine, is telling her, like, hey, he knew this thing would happen. I'm trying to be vague for those of you who didn't watch it. So they're like, he knew this thing would happen, and he still led, well, I guess I already told you it was a trick. He still led you here. And she was saying in the behind the scenes that it was written on the page to kind of like be angry and have like a silent rage and like cry or whatever. And she went to the director and was like, I would not do this. I don't think any woman in this situation would do this. And so she was like, I want to try something. So he's like, bet. And they run the scene again. And when the information comes out, she jumps across the table and starts choking him and trying to beat him because that is the reaction that she had. Also, when, who was it? Nia Long? Who did she slap? She slapped Taye Diggs when they were doing, oh my God. Everything they did so many different movies. The Wood is in my head. The Brothers is in my head. Why did I get married? Is in my head? Oh my God. Oh my God. Take my black card, y'all. Take my black card. Thanks. And Morris Chestnut. Oh my God. the best man, Jesus Christ. Anyways, so when they had first did, and there's a really heated scene, and it wasn't written for her to hit him, but again, another artistic choice as a woman. Hey, this man has done something to you and affronted you and accosted you, and there's so much in you that you have no other way to get it out than in a way that a child would naturally react, because that is the very first way that you know how to react to anything that is adverse to you. And so she slapped the shit out of him, like, for real. And so bringing it back to Taylor Page in this moment with Leroy, you know, she's hitting on him, she's punching at him, she's slapping him, she's pushing him, she's pulling him, she's doing all of these different things. I hate you, I want you, this is your fault, I need your help type of thing. And it really grounds that scene when Rose, Leroy, Hank, Halloran, Daniel, everybody's coming together. And so Rose is like, listen, I can help you quiet these voices. I'm pretty sure she was trying to tell him, just don't go to sleep. Or maybe don't something within this dream. But this scene, my God. So before we get into the Pennywise of it all, I love how we're getting into what Halloran's powers can do. I like that was portrayed in this episode, and it's not something that we necessarily have to wait for. Of course, we have Dr. Sleep, we have the China, we have all these other things. But when we met him, it was there already. So really seeing the beginning of when he trusted himself and when he accepted that within him is a treat that needs to keep treating in the form of a Halloran spinoff. I've said this before a few episodes back that people wanted. Andy, we need the spinoff. Chris Chalk is just too much of a talent and did that character so much justice that I don't even be asking for real, for like other side character spinoffs and stuff like that. We're going to need that. We're going to need that. What did he do after that? When we see him in The Shining, he's older. So what happened between 1962 and 1980? How was those things going before the events of The Shining? And the fact that the Muschiettis are taking this approach to Stephen King's story, we can now live in the pockets of information that we have, pull from the source material, and then infer and deduce based on not only what's written on the page, but what's not written on the page, which is how we got the 1962. There's references to it in the book, but not like this, right? And keeping the tie in with the it that everybody knows, with the dialogue and the events that happen within this episode, makes it a cyclical watch party in a way. So, love that. But we're on this ice. And of course, like I said, General Shaw is going to put everybody in danger for whatever reason. And then the reasons that we're here, I don't even know. I think he was just crazy. But it made for one of my favorite shots, and I ended up making a gif of it. He's like, hey, bud, I'm white, you're pasty. Basically, we're bros. You can go now. And Pennywise is like, okay. So you don't see all them kids. I can go. Cool. I'll be on my merry little way. Thanks for breaking that barrier, dude. You're all right with me. And he's walking by and he stops and he's like, Howard, are you the motherfucker that was talking shit 27 years ago in the woods? Bitch, I know you. And he turned around like, yo, I will never forget an op. And it didn't dawn on me that Francis was really super clueless as to what this entity was until it showed how he presented himself to Francis. And it made me think back to the conversation where he was talking about with Rose, where he's like, you know, I forgot everything, but the longer I was here, the more my memories came back. So I just assumed that he knew the thing that couldn't come out the forest was the thing that tried to eat him. Where that disconnect happened, I'm not sure. Because when he first sees Pennywise, he's a clown. So he's like, hey, bro, head on out, bruh. Destruction, all for you. And then when Pennywise confronts him with who he actually is, now he's afraid. Now, you know, you're that meal that got away. But Francis's face was just kind of like, oh, what are you doing? Oh no. When he realizes what it is, and it's just like, what? How did you not know? And while I do wish his death was longer, it was still satisfying. In fact, hold on. It felt very much like Mr. Kirsch. So, this is not an ad, but this is going to be a small in-episode commercial break. I have the HBO original, It, Welcome to Derry, 1748 Funko Pop with the brains in there. Lucky. Look at his shoes, y'all. Look at these shoes. It's so cute. So cute. I feel like they got on this pretty quick. Because we still don't have a black Louis de Point du Lac Funko Pop. So is it because AMC hasn't commissioned it? Like, what's going on? Because how did we get a brand new Bill Skarsgård Funko Pop and we don't have Louis? Anyways, this is not that show. But yeah, so, you know, he ate him. And then all hell's just breaking loose. Like, the black people are looking at each other with that silent communication, and they're like, fuck it. These people got guns to our heads. Our kids are over there, plus the kids of the towns. We don't know where their parents is at. We're going to have to do what we're going to have to do. We're going to die anyway, and so what we're not going to do is die doing nothing. Balls to the wall. Let's go. Shoot out. Let me get them. Shoot out. Let me hit them. Shoot out. Let me hit them. Shoot out. Let me hit them. Shoot. Shoot, 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 shoot. And yeah, it's a fun time. Now, the asshole in me, I guess, I was like, wow. So none of the bullets broke that ice and some people fell in. But, you know, maybe because the good son just had such a profound impact on me. I'm just like, ice cracking. But we're here, and Pennywise is doing his Baywatch run, okay? And it's nice, it's beautiful, it's pretty, it's sinister. He's looking to the side to the parents like, I'm about to eat your motherfucking kids, and I'm getting free, bitch. And then he's going and... Actually, no, let me back up before that part. Getting ahead of myself. So when Pennywise was getting ready to eat these kids, right? All of the teeth out. All of them. And then he stops. visual effects, shout out to y'all. The way that he was frozen, and then you realize it's Halloran pulling him back into the world of Bob Gray, where Bob didn't die. He's basically Bob. And this part was so funny because you really get to see that and it's the same thing too in the current versions that we know of. When he gets bullied and he gets flame roasted by kids, he can't stand it. And it's so funny that his kryptonite is literally like a roast session. So he's here, all of these people are in his face. He's like, I know I look like me. Why are y'all here in my face? Like, he's like, I am a god. I have all these powers. And, he's choking old boy out. And then he gets bitch slapped. And he's looking around like, this motherfucker just slapped me? What is going on? And then you got baby Ingrid in the back. Papa, he's like, I could have sworn I got rid of this delusional ass girl. What is going on? And he has no idea really how to break this. And he's trapped in this thing. But again, of course, here goes Francis and them. They're disrupting everything. And it ends up slipping. And that's when Pennywise realizes that Halloran is the one orchestrating all of these things. So again, you get that power. And I hope I remember to come back to this power because I want to talk about it in the form of how Pennywise experiences time. You get that power, and again, you get a glimpse into all that Halloran can do. So all of that ended up happening. Again, like I said, this is kind of unconventional. I'm freestyling right now because I want to mostly talk about like the whole of the show. But that was a really incredible scene. And so as he's trying to get past his threshold, the kids, they have to go and put the relic and bury it where that tree is underneath the earth so they can complete the pillars and trap him back in. I mean, they shooting his brains out. They shoot him in the legs. They shoot him in the back. They shoot him in the head. My man, wings come out. We are aura farming like nobody's business. I'm about to eat your kids. Then I might come back for dessert and eat you. And one of the funniest parts on this is they so the kids is over there, they trying to put it down to the earth and them fucking wings came out. And he's like, okay, I'm paraphrasing, but the sentiment is the same. He saw the wings and that dude get up in the air and fly. He was like, oh, hell no. Said, oh, hell no. Because, like, what do you do at that point? It's like you're totally, like, helpless, useless. You can't do nothing. Your kids are so far away from you. Like, it really is like facing death in the face. And the relic wants to go back to where it came from. It was yoking on Will. Then the friends came and yoked on Will too. And was like, no, we finna drag you, come hell or high water, get back here. We gotta put this in the ground. But it's a fight. And who do we see? Richie doing a similar run that Pennywise was doing across that ice. And when Rich looked over, he stuck out his middle fingers to Pennywise and came and power of friendship, that extra boost, put it back down into the earth. And thus Pennywise was dispersed, I think is a good word to call it. And the funeral scene was really good. It was a really nice touch to bring Richie back and to just be there to bring peace to his parents, and Halloran being in a space where he can use his gift to deliver those messages. And when Charlotte and them were going to leave, she's like, well, maybe we can stay so that more than just the Native Americans are, have the knowledge to defeat this thing. Like, if everybody keeps leaving, nobody knows. Eventually, they're not going to be here anymore. And so it's the same thing, like with knowledge, with history, and with tradition. The things move on because you continue to practice them, you continue to talk about them, you continue to share that word. But when the last person leaves and you have nothing, now you're starting over and you have no idea on how to fight it. And so I think it was a really good decision to make. And even with that, Ronnie and Will shared their first kiss, but Ronnie and Hank is getting the fuck up out of Derry, okay? And all I could think was, sir, leave white women alone. Please. Please and please. Gracias. And so just when you think it's all said and done, here we are in 1988. And Mrs. Kirsch has been in Juniper Hill the entire time. And she's drawing on a canvas. If you paused and look closely, she's drawing the last image that she has of her and Pennywise outside of the black spot. But it's his arm and it's her hand grabbing onto his arm. But then there's a commotion. And she goes down the hall. She's in the room. And there's a woman hanging in the room. And who turns around? One Beverly Marsh. And she sees Mrs. Kirsch and she's like, oh, don't worry, dear. Nothing that dies in Derry is ever really dead, or something like that, whatever the line is. And yeah, such surprise cameos. Like, Beverly did not age at all. And everybody's like, well, she's 23. But it's like, when you look at like a 16-year-old boy to be a 23-year-old man and a 16-year-old girl to a 23-year-old woman, big changes happen in men. And so to be able to have her look exactly how she did in the movies, and then closing it out with the actress who played the oldest version of Mrs. Kirsch, was just such a beautiful touch. And knowing that the Muschiettis, made this as a very like last minute epilogue decision to kind of connect everything together. Sometimes you just gotta go with it, and you gotta make those decisions with your gut. And it was an absolute jaw-dropping decision. So there's that. Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 8, Winter Fire. And of course, if you know the poem, here is Winter Fire. It's like you knew the poem, but knowing that they were going to make it literal by bringing this character back, chef's kiss. So what are some things that we're thinking of? So first and foremost, when I talked about Halloran's powers and this really being like the first time that he's kind of flexing these things, I was thinking about it in the fact that when it confronted Marge and he was like, Marge told her, he's telling her about her son, and you don't recognize your son? Oh, well, what is it? The past, the present, the future, it's all the same to me. And so we realize he is kind of existing all at once and not necessarily going through time in a linear fashion in the way that the rest of us do it. And so he says, my death is my birth. And so the light bulbs start clicking on, and it's like, for the audience, Welcome to Derry is a prequel. But for the character, this is a sequel, because he's trying to go and kill everybody in the bloodline that had anything to do with his death in the future. And so you really understand why he's targeting Marge, why he's targeting Will so heavily, right? It's because they were very integral in his demise, because Will knew all of the information. The boy is so smart. And Marge, just with everything that happened with Rich and just a lot of her gumption, it's like she just has this fight and she just has this grit in her that he knows, like, she knows she gonna lose, but she gonna fight to the death anyway. Like, she's not gonna run from him. And so those are just two people within that group and within that bloodline. Like, they not with the shits. So with Halloran, it makes me think, because Pennywise is kind of cycling through this as like, damn, they killed me. Now I'm reborn in 1962. Let me fuck up their bloodlines. He's never experienced Halloran in this way. And so when you go back to the early episodes, when Halloran first sees him and he says, "Who are you? You're not supposed to be here." So that's telling me that as he's jumping through these things, he's never come across Halloran in any other capacity. And so that lets me know, like, the timeline in certain events can be changed or influenced outside of its knowledge and its, like, purview. He's going down, like, his own singular revenge path, and he's not really thinking that every time he goes back, he's not just dealing with kids. He also has to factor in they may have adults on their side who are willing to believe them and willing to step in. And so because he kind of like fought and lost in the versions that we know of, the versions that Stephen King had wrote, it was just the kids, right? It was just the kids, and then they did it as adults, right? So they were the adult saviors in their own lives. So he's like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go back, get reborn again, and we're gonna kill these kids. But he didn't realize that Charlotte Hamlin was in existence. He didn't realize that a black mama was gonna be all up in her child's business. Get into the business. You're not getting nothing over on her. Especially in the 60s, we're dealing with so many different things. The civil rights era is really coming out of the Jim Crow era, baby. Absolutely not. One of two black kids up in this neighborhood, sir, you got us fucked all the way up. Then, again, you didn't factor in Halloran at all. And I genuinely believe that that is a storyline that we need to branch off. Obviously, the other two seasons are confirmed. Shout out to them. But Halloran won't be him. He won't be there. So we really can't expand on that. And so that's why I really want like a Halloran like spinoff, because I genuinely think like that whole like, what are you doing here? And then being trapped and, he's like, oh, I see you got some tricks, little Dickie. He didn't know that in the 80s, Halloran was dealing with his own shit in London, right? How bad can a hotel be? How bad can a hotel be? I loved everybody, including myself, with all the gifts and all the memes. Sir, if you can gaze into the future, you might think life will be a breeze. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I love how he experienced his time with that. Which then begs the question: when he goes into 1935, how much memory of 1962 will he retain? Or does his memory solely like light up as a beacon, only honing in on the bloodline and these kids? Like, it makes me wonder, will he go after adults more? Well, the 1935 massacre, he was there. I think I just answered my own question. Because it's just like in 1962, in the 80s, and then later on, he didn't account for the adults. Then in 1962, he's like, oh shit, it's not like adults everywhere, but enough of them was around to help these kids. And so now, in 1935, not just with the massacre, but how many more adults will be haunted by him if he still retains the knowledge that they could be helpful? Will he attack more indigenous people in order to wipe out their bloodlines to prevent the knowledge from being shared in the future? There's so many different things that you can do with that as we go back down to 1908 and like all of the different births and iterations of who he is. And, you know, will we get other people who have the shining? Because we know that he can't stand them. He hates them. They're his greatest adversaries. And so it's like, I'm excited for the actors who are going to be coming on board. I want to see what these actors do in the future. Blake Cameron James is just phenomenal. He has such a bright future. The actress that played Marge, she talked about how she studied the behaviors from the movie It to see if he's my son and he's like me, then what versions of him can I use in my character that would eventually be passed down to him in the version that you all saw? So like that type of dedication that you already see from these actors, it lets you know like they're taking their craft very seriously, but also seeing a lot of the behind the scenes, they're having so much fun and they get to really play, and Andy Muschietti provides the arena for all of them to stretch their chops in so many different directions, from horror, scream kings and queens, to drama, to the jokes and stuff that they had. Like all of the actors really hit on a lot of different beats, especially the kids. So you saw a good range from every single person involved. And then of course the entire crew, like, oh my God, I wonder if they're like bound in contracts to just work on it and stuff, because sound designer, composer, and VFX, like crazy. The costuming, hair and makeup, doing Bill doing a lot of just like movement and the physicality and the way that he's able to move his body, the way everybody's able to move their bodies, trying to be as practical as they can, really feeds the epicness of what this is. And I want to park a little bit because I already talked about like the comparisons with Tim Curry's, but now y'all are just getting out of hand with this whole, the show was better than the movies. The movies was trash. It was this and the third. First off, the Muschiettis were involved in it one in it chapter 2. Like, so it's the same people. It's the same people. 1, 2. It's a movie. Do y'all know how big this book is? Probably not, because you don't read. So all of this negativity and the comparisons, like, please stop. You have the 90s version. Again, FCC laws. They did what they could. Tim Curry did excellent. Then you have the 2010s version. If you watch both of those, that'll basically be the bulk of the book, because they were able to add a lot more content and context in the 21st century than they were able to do in the 20th century. And so things that were just brushed upon in the 90s series, we really got to sit in, like the Nebolt house in the 2017 and 2019 versions. So if you watch both of those movies, or all 4 of those movies, you really get a full picture of what that book is. But then even still, when you read the book, that's where the show comes in to hit those markers like the black spot, to hit those markers like how he came down in the comic, and, you know, the ties to the indigenous people, to keeping him locked up and all those different things. But the book still had a lot of wild shit up in there. And so it's just like, the movie was only going to be able to give you what it could. So let's put our thinking caps on, okay? And let's watch all of these in its totality. And again, because it experienced time different than the audience, different than the characters within there, you can literally watch all of them on a loop. And I cannot wait until season 3 is done to just literally hit the repeat button and just watch them in a cycle, and it'll give you the full story. And I think this is just the smartest way that I've seen a franchise be expanded upon. Like it's crazy. The only other franchise so far that is really doing a fantastic job at reimagining and really being like, okay, so we can't take all of what you got because we're not trying to redo the material that already exists. Just go read that thing that exists. Go watch that movie that exists. Would be Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire on AMC. This is their version. We're going to keep the personalities. We're going to pluck and pull. But it's 2022. It's 2025. Like, we got to update these things. It ain't going to look the same. If you want that, go to that. But if you want more, and if you have ideas and thoughts of like, I wonder what that would be like today, watch our stuff. And so it's the same thing with it. Watch the 90s version. Watch the 2017, 2019 version. So much shit done happened since 2019. Time is a construct after COVID. So now you have that, but now you have it, Welcome to Derry. So when you're like, damn, how did he get here? Damn, why is he going after Mike Hamlin like that? That's crazy. What in the hell did Richie Tozier do to you? When you thought about it, Andy thought about it and said, fuck it. Well, let's figure out where did this come from? And being able to pull from The Shining, being able to pull from Shawshank, being able to pull from the books and take the essence of those things and creating something else that is related to the thing, but still makes it feel brand new because it is being perceived in a space that has never been explored before. Smartest execution, hands down, God tier reimagining. Like, I can't say enough. I also like how they put to bed that Lily is somehow Beverly's mom. Boom, put to bed, put to rest. Stop arguing about it. Write a fanfic about it or something, write some AU. But I like how they put that to bed. And then somebody else was questioning, and so maybe some of y'all are thinking about it too, where they were like, somebody was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would Beverly see Mrs. Kirsch at that age when she didn't see her again until It Chapter 2? She would have been dead and da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, so for those of you who didn't understand it, the end of the finale is basically the setup to It Chapter 1. Beverly was a child, and it was the first time she ever saw Ingrid. Okay? When you leave Derry, you don't remember she. So in It Chapter 2, she goes to Mrs. Kirsch's house and she's trying to, piece together some things. They're showing Mrs. Kirsch at the point that she would have last seen her, not at the point of initial introduction. And again, if you watch the movie, you know that it was it masquerading as her, as this calm, safe space. Again, the thing that Mrs. Kirsch told Beverly was like, don't worry. So it's like in this soothing manner. So of course, when you're in this person's house and this is the person that comes out and you're like, oh yeah, we knew each other, whatever, it's a false sense of security that was created for adult Bev. And then it turned out to be it in the first place. So that is what that scene is doing. It's not that Mrs. Kirsch lived to be 100 and something years old. Like, that is what that is about. So a couple of confusions on there. So I wanted to bring that up and out in the open. And then also, when Will saw the fire, or who he thought was his dad in the fire in the lake, he was like, I saw you like burning up in the fire and, with the plane crash or whatever. Obviously, Will was not at the plane crash, but it was an entity that looked like his dad. Well, in It Chapter 2, Leroy Hamlin is raising Mike, which is Will's son, because Will died in a fire. So it was like, okay, did Will see himself because that is your dad. So it would make sense that you would look like your dad when you got a little bit older. I don't know how I feel too much about that, but that would be dope. But the good thing is we will never know because It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 already exists and we're moving back in time. So I think some of the answers of what that looks like and what they actually see in the deadlights more than what we saw with Bev see in the future, I think we'll get more answers to the future from the past in the same way that Pennywise is experiencing it. And now that we know that there's a sequel and prequel happening at the exact same time, I think the audience will now be prepared to look for those things. And did I see something about a It Chapter 3? Let me get my Googles because I don't want to be lying to y'all. It Chapter 3. Well, are they titling the third season Chapter 3? Because this one was Chapter 1. Well, no, because at the end it said It Chapter 1 and then it went into the Beverly scene. It Chapter 3 movie is hinted at by Welcome to Derry co-creator. So, we're looking at like a whole, like Stephen King. I mean, Stephen King is Stephen King, right? But, I mean, he still writes to this day. So to take what we know from the movies and what we just learned from in 1962 and do a It Chapter 3, and we know Bev saw the future? Hold on. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. Oh, I'm gonna be eating just like Pennywise. We're gonna eat. So, yeah, there's just so much. It's so much. I'm not gonna like recover everything that I already covered over the last 8 weeks, but the summary of it all, 10 out of 10. I'm talking certified 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's what I would give. I don't care what's on there. Like, blew shows out of the water of any genre. Any genre. I just cannot believe that a childhood fave like book and story that I held on to my entire life was done this way. When it came out again in the movies, I went to the movies with an It shirt on and a red balloon. Babes. Yes. So just to see like the passion of it all, definitely would love to get more Bill Skarsgård, but I think keeping him in like half of the episodes is smart because of the fear that is getting cooked up, and you really have to like really lean into seeing how the people are getting scared before they're killed. Speaking of scared, so I brought up like the Trail of Tears, like a historical thing that happened in America. But one of the lines that Pennywise says is, the dark meat tastes sweeter, and everybody's like, hold on, like Pennywise is racist and all these other things. And while the nature of that sentence is very much fitting with the times, you also got to look at what he feeds on. He feeds on fear. Black people in America live in a perpetual state of fear. They're starting off in the oven on 275 with the fear factor, right? Then you add in everything else that they're dealing with in this town, within the military, and all of the obstacles and stuff that is in their way. Yes, he's saying it in a very nasty and racist way, but when you look at what that is, the white meat is going to taste dry and bland because white people walk around here like they're not scared of nothing in the first place. So, as he's saying it, it's still giving that Pennywise jerk asshole type of delivery. But the truth of the matter is, he could go to any town and feed on a black person, and it would still be the same thing, because that was just the climate, and it's the natural state of being for black people in America. And so, again, just tying in those gut punching like facts and fears in Pennywise exploiting them. I don't think the series exploited it. I think the series definitely just shined a bright beacon on the reality of the situation. And then Pennywise, being the type of entity that he is, exploiting it through language, exploiting it through terrorizing everybody. And it just kind of like worked. And then also just like being a black person, when you watch any type of movie or a TV show set in a certain era, and I'm talking like 2007 on down, because there's some crazy stuff in the 2000s. We was rocking with it, but baby, it was crazy. You just know, like, all right, it's not gonna be good for us. Why I laugh? It's terrible, but you just kind of know, like, that's the reality. And so as it's happening, you can stay with the story and stay with the writing and understand that that is just the nature of the beast that's in front of us. While also, again, I don't feel like the Muschiettis or any of the writers made it nasty or exploited that pain. It was just a fact. And then it was delivered as such. And I thought that was really clever. Again, the writing on this, the entire team, they got an A1 team. I hope that the directors and everybody is treating everybody from, Bill Skarsgård all the way down to whoever's cleaning up the set and the craft services. I hope they treated everybody so well, because this is a dream team. This rarely happens. You usually get people, like the actors are, pretty close. You get a director and actors pretty close. Director and cinematographer are pretty close. But from everything I'm seeing, it looked like everybody had a really good time. And I hope that their schedules are able to be accommodated, and they're able to come back for the other 2 seasons, and maybe for the movie. Not everybody who shoots for TV can shoot for film, but the TV episodes were shot like film, so you never know. And with that, I cannot believe we are putting the pillar in the ground on it. Welcome to Derry. Y'all know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen, or if you want to just listen and go through all of this again with me, make sure you share that Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can also find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I post film and TV news and updates. I also post links and just snippets of my articles via Substack on there as well. So you'll see my link tree on there, and you'll see a direct link to the Substack page as well. You can also find me on TikTok at Kivanchi, where I post short form review and content for things that I don't necessarily talk about on this podcast, or things that I may have missed in an episode that I want to bring to that platform without, redoing it all over again. I'm only human. I forget things. And then you can also find me on Twitter, my main Twitter page at Kivanchi. Again, I talk about everything under the entertainment realm. So all of the branches that go along with that. And of course, the official podcast Twitter page at Pod. So there's that, where I post film and TV news and updates, things that I do talk about on the podcast, things that I don't talk about on the podcast, articles, and just real time things that I share on Twitter exclusively. So if you got friends on the different platforms, drop the link, holla at your girl. And with that, I'm going to catch y'all in the next podcast episode.